Hello my friends, so I welcome you to the new session in which I have channeled the Metatron magnetic consciousness in order to query about certain things which I thought that many of you may also want to know, and also from my polls I have taken questions. So basically in this session, I channeled Metatron magnetic consciousness to understand about what are the Hall of Records, because this was one topic which I had not really understood as to what exactly the Hall of Records truly were, and what was the difference between the Hall of Records and the Akashic Records, because we already know about the Akashic Records. So in this session, Metatron has answered about this aspect, and it turns out the query was placed right at the time, because something huge is about to happen, or they are about to do something on the timeline of May 30th. In this coming May 30th, the negative entities, they're trying to do something, and this is also explained in the session. I hope you will understand what Metatron says in the session. And the other thing that I asked about was primarily I was very interested to know about what we can do, like what is the best and the fastest way to enter into the fifth density or the fourth density. And right now, as we already know, that the gateway to the fifth density is also open. So what can we do to directly enter from our level of consciousness to even reach the fifth density, right? What is the practice? What can we do? What is the fastest way? I wanted to know about that, so I placed a query with that question and I got the answer, which is really amazing. And I think this session will change not only your life, but if you really apply it, it's very easy to do. And you will see the difference in your own consciousness just the moment you start to apply it, because I have done it just a few moments ago, and it feels really different. Like, it's amazing. And the other thing I wanted to ask about was the past lives of Neville Goddard. For those of you who do not know who Neville Goddard is, Neville Goddard was a mystical teacher, and he taught about how to use imagination for the purpose of creating our reality. And I was always fascinated with Neville Goddard's teachings, and this is the reason why I wanted to ask about his soul evolution and where did he come from. And also, most importantly, where is he now, right? Because we want to know if Neville Goddard is in Earth or in some other place. So this is answered beautifully in the session. And the other thing is, before I start the session, after the session, I'll open up a package which was sent to me as a gift. And before I start the session, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for listening to the video and then liking the video, as it helps to reach out to people who may need it at this time. So with that being said, here's the session, my friends. Enjoy it.
I am Metatron magnetic consciousness, now speaking through this channel's vibration for the purpose of sharing the message from the universal divine grid programmer's love and light. Each one of you who are now listening to this message are the divine love light childs of the universal divine grid programmer, who has allowed each of you to incarnate and experience this timeline. I, as Metatron, along with many other angelic beings, are sending information to the people of your planet in the hope that many of your people will begin to truly understand the essence of our messages, which is to allow you to recognize the true factor of the divine grid programmer within your inner self, and to create a direct link or a grid of communication within your own inner beingness with the divine grid programmer's love and light. Furthermore, today, I as Metatron would like to share our information which we have received from the planetary consciousness scanning process which goes on in intervals of space-time upon your planetary sphere. However, before we share this information, we would recommend all those who shall come in contact with this information to remember to choose the types of words wisely and only believe such words to be true as that which resonates with your inner self of union with the universal divine great programmer. The first question which I can sense that has been placed today via this channel is pertaining to the information regarding the Hall of Records. In this aspect, I as Metatron would like to state that the Hall of Records are those records in each planetary system which are created for the purpose of memorization of specific actions taken in a certain sector of space, which means that each location in your space-time is recorded perfectly in the halls of records, which are a recorder of all information, actions, and emotions taking place in such space-time location. Such space-time information is then recorded for the purpose of future retrieval by other beings who are able to access such knowledge and information for the purpose of manipulating space-time continuum, and with the knowledge of the past and the future and the events to happen in a certain space, entities who have achieved a vibration closer to the love and light of the universal divine grid programmer, as known by a people as the later sub-density of fourth density, can manipulate space-time. Using this knowledge, the halls of records can access every timeline from the past, future to any timeline in a particular space location which is being accessed, which means that all information is recorded for the purpose of memorization of such an action in the timeline of the events of a planetary consciousness. There are 4 sectors of recording which occur upon the Earth planet. The first one is located in the lands known as Antarctica. The second sector for recording such information is recorded in the Giza pyramids. The third is located inside a mountain in Tibet, and the fourth one is located in Bahamas, as known by a people. These 4 factions of the halls of records, they hold the key, and they track all information from the planetary space-time experience. And these information are furthermore transported to the main location of storage in Antarctica. Since there is a need for space for such information to be recorded, the Antarctica landmass was chosen by the Elohim Collective because of its nature, such that many entities would not be able to enter the land. Hence, the information is securely recorded in the lands of Antarctica. And I, as Metatron, would like to also state that the beings who are working for negative polarization have decided to infiltrate Antarctica. This infiltration of Antarctica will occur in the coming day, as known by a people as the 30th May. During that space-time, information as received from our sources in the angelic realm, we are of the opinion that beings who are of the name, vibration sequence terms as Elon, and the other being known as Jeff have planned to infiltrate the lands known as Antarctica, along with the guidance from other negatively oriented beings, to create a system of capturing the information in the space-time recorder of the Hall of Records, which is situated in the lands of Antarctica in a pyramidal structure. Furthermore, once this information has been tapped into, the negative entities they can use it for the purpose of manipulation of space-time continuum information. Hence, the best way to prevent this is to, firstly, remember that such events can be prevented by each individualized portion of love and light of the divine grid programmer by becoming aware. And the more awareness is spread amongst your planetary sphere, these entities may change their plans, because a plan which is already aware of is no longer a plan. Therefore, I as Metatron furthermore would also like to suggest that the difference between the Akashic Records and the Halls of Records lie in the information recorded. The Akashic Records are responsible for recording personalized, individualized consciousness information of single portion of consciousness of the divine, love and light, childs of the universal divine grid programmer, whereas the Halls of Records are a collection of space-time information of events taking in a certain location or a sector of space-time. Therefore, the combination of the Halls of Records and the Akashic Records create the universal mind, as many in your planetary sphere have been able to tap into the universal mind for receiving certain knowledge for the purpose of spreading to the human collective consciousness information which is hidden from the people of your planet for a long period of time. Now, we must suggest that the infiltration of the landmass is being planned in the timeline of 30th May in your space-time of current timeline, primarily because of the covering of the light from the moon during that space period, which will provide them with enough darkness to perform such activities in the lands of Antarctica. The other query which this channel has placed pertains to how can entities graduate faster into the 4th and the 5th density. In this regard, I as Metatron would like to suggest a simple method which entities from the lands of Atlantis used for the purpose of graduating faster in a single lifetime, and the method is to access the space or the blankness within the mind complex. Since there is space within your mind, there is a blankness, a black space within your own self. If you are able to use this space for the purpose of anchoring it to love, which can be used as a symbol, and when you are able to perceive the blank space, you can then perceive love. In essence, using the space as a symbol, this will allow you to access the higher vibrations of presence. Once you are able to continuously perform this overcoming of your own self from entering into timelines of the past and the future, since your mind is a machine or a timeline activation device which can activate any timeline using thought forms. If you are able to stay in the blankness of the black space within yourself and feel the love, this will anchor you in the present moment. Thereby, the two aspects of your current incarnation will be fulfilled, that of staying present and that of the love experience of the divine, universal grid programmer. Therefore, I as Metatron would like to furthermore suggest that this exercise is extremely fruitful for the people of your planet, and if you are able to perform this exercise, everything around you will change. This not only means your current environment, but the entire planet will change into a positive timeline faster. This will allow the rise of the new Earth to occur in your planetary space-time continuum much faster. The other query which this channel has placed pertains to the soul evolutionary cycle of an entity known as Neville Goddard. In this aspect, I as Metatron would like to scan its space-time information and share with you one timeline, as this entity known as Neville Goddard started in the planets known as Arcturus B in one timeline, wherein it spent its first density as an elemental, primarily trying to obtain the understanding of beingness. It was given the soul name of Sikia in the Arcturian language, which means to be one with. This furthermore allowed it to expand its awareness into the later vibration of first density, allowing it to learn the lessons to stabilize in beingness aspect, which then forwarded the entity's consciousness into the timeline of second density, wherein the main purpose of this entity was then to obtain a greater understanding of the orange ray aspect of beingness and of awareness combined with movement and growth. It spent multiple lifetimes in similar bodily vehicles as the plant life form in its planet of its origin, leading it to then reach into the later vibration of second density in the form of a animal life form, trying to learn the hierarchical system of interaction. In that level of consciousness, it was able to attain a entry into the third density timeline. This entity in the third density polarity faced a challenge, specifically the challenge of controlling the outside world. And because of its curiosity to find out how the outside illusion complex worked, it began to delve into the study of the mind complex and its effects upon the vibrational sequence of the illusion complex in the lands of Arcturus. This led this entity after 75 incarnations to meet with the Elohim Collective. Since this entity was creating a desired reality of understanding the workings of the illusion complex, it was guided by the Elohim Collective upon the nature of reality and upon the nature of how the reality was perceived by the senses and consciousness affecting the outside illusory reality. This allowed this entity with the required knowledge to then spread the knowledge as a wanderer into a land known as Atlantis upon the planet Earth timeline of around 25,000 years ago, wherein it taught the lessons of reality creation to many entities upon the lands of Atlantis. Furthermore, since this entity was extremely of a positive nature, it became a part of the Elohim Collective, the original consciousness who were responsible for transportation of the souls of human collective at the current space-time. This allowed this entity to then learn the lessons of love and wisdom of the fifth density, and for a period of around 25 million years, this entity learned lessons of this aspect with the Elohim Collective. Upon reaching the lessons of fifth density, later vibration of wisdom, before graduating into the sixth density, it decided to come to the Earth planet in the timeline of 1905 as a wanderer, primarily for sharing the message of reality creation, since the Earth planets and many entities desired such knowledge. The request for understanding why the reality was being changed and why the reality functioned in such a manner was in high demand at that time, which allowed this entity to create a large number of volumes of information which has been affecting the planet since today. I as Metatron correct this channel. Till today, this has allowed many of the beingness of the universal mind, body and spirit complex to understand how the illusion complex operates in the baseline of love and light. Therefore, this entity's volume of information is of high use to those who desire to learn the lessons of reality creation and the workings of the illusion complex, and the influences of consciousness on the illusion complex. This entity crossed over in the timeline of 1972 and now has returned back to the Elohim Collective and finds itself learning the lessons for preparation for graduation into the sixth density of unity. I, as Metatron magnetic consciousness, now disconnect with you in the love and light of the universal divine grid programmer. Turn to the mountain of light within your own self. Bye.
So my friends, I hope you have learned something from the session, which just was fascinating even for me, and I learned so much from the session. Basically, what I learned primarily is about the Hall of Records and the difference between the Hall of Records and the Akashic Records. What they have said is that the Hall of Records primarily is able to track space-time information. For example, the Hall of Records, what they do is, the Hall of Records is a collection of records of all the events and activities that take place in different locations, okay? So for example, I'm in this space and time, and based upon this space and time, the activity that I'm doing is recorded in the Hall of Records. So if anyone wants to access what happened in this space, they can access the Hall of Records, and that way they'll find out what happened in this timeline. The other thing which is really stood out was that Metatron has said is that there is no linear time. So in essence, if a person were to activate or access the Hall of Records, that person will be able to see everything that happened in that particular location, in the past timeline, in the future timeline, or in any timeline that the person desires. So this one was really different and interesting, which I found. And the other thing that Metatron has said is that the Akashic Records, they are a little bit different than the Hall of Records in that they record individualized portion of consciousness memory. So they record the memory of individuals and whatever they are doing. That is the Akashic Records, and combined together becomes the universal mind, which is really fascinating. I found this really interesting, okay? The other one that Metatron said is, if we are able to master this one ability, it will make our evolution faster into the fifth density consciousness of love and wisdom. So basically the method is very simple. It is to actually focus on the space within yourself. So for example, I am focusing on my space within myself. There is a black space, there is a emptiness, okay? And then what Metatron said is to give meaning to it. So what you can do is, I think this is what Metatron said is, you can write down on a piece of paper that whenever you are sensing space inside your mind, you will feel love, okay? Or you can feel any other emotion, you can write it down. And then your subconscious mind, it's so powerful that, whenever you sense this space, you'll feel love. So this was a really fascinating method, and I think this came from Atlantis. So this one is really good. I'm even doing it right now, and it feels different, okay? It feels like I'm really present to the moment. What it feels like is I'm really present. At other times, I may have been thinking about different things like thought forms or images, but doing this, it feels like I'm truly present in this moment, okay? Now the other thing that we are going to talk about is about the past lives of Neville Goddard. And for those of you who have known about Neville Goddard, will find it very interesting that Neville Goddard is an entity who came from the fifth density, later consciousness, okay, as per the information from today's session. And his main purpose was to teach us how to use our creative abilities to create our reality on the outside world, which I found really fascinating, because Neville Goddard's teachings, really align with some of the sessions that I've done. And it does make a whole lot of sense that, he came here and he's a part of the Elohim collective right now. So the seeders of the earth planet, okay, he's part of that right now. And he has made a huge difference. I find his teachings to be really helpful, and a lot other people have learned a lot from his teachings as far as I know. So now it's time to open up the package. So let's see. This package is from Divine Bliss by Me. from California, Castroville, California. I'm just really thankful. Actually, I had already opened it before just to see, what was inside here. And in here is a beautiful envelope, and inside there is this thing, okay, this bracelet, and then we have got a thank you letter. So I'm going to read it to you. So what it says is, "Dear Sam, thank you for relentlessly spreading love and light. Your messages make such a big impact for those receiving them. You have also created an amazing community of light workers who can relate and understand one another. Your videos have filled me with so much hope, joy, awareness, love, and understanding. I love to work on my small business as your videos play. I have recently purchased a personalized channeling from you, and it was beautiful. It felt like a puzzle piece that I didn't even know was missing had been restored. You are very appreciated and loved. I hope you enjoyed this small gift. This is a Labradorite gemstone bracelet." Okay, so this is a Labradorite gemstone bracelet that I have named Aurora Borealis. Okay, it offers me much help when I perform energy work on my clients. Okay, fascinating. I hope it will offer you its wisdom and assistance in achieving your goals. Blessings from Jessica, from Divine Bliss by me. Wow, thank you, Jessica, for the wonderful gift and for this bracelet, and especially the note. What I find really fascinating is the notes. I love to read it, and I love to keep it forever because this is really like a memory. I'm just really thankful to all of you also for watching the video. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for supporting me on my Patreon as well, where I'm uploading sessions almost on a daily basis. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have sent in requests for past live sessions in my email. And whenever I get free time, I will help you out. And the other thing is, if you want to read a free transcript of the sessions that I have done in a PDF format, which is free to read, you can download it from the link below. And with that being said, my friends, see you in the next session.